welcome back to the Die Again podcast, a tabletop role-playing game podcast. I'm your Game Master Josiah. With me as always is the player,
William.
And last we left our hero nearly died in the opening fight scene and decided that, you know what, he'd walked enough for the day and he was just going to sit down and not.
To be fair, it was a lot of not great rules.
It was that, and you did bury a lot of bodies, so there's also that. Or rather, your squire mostly did, because your arm is absolutely fucked up.
With the health of mediocre.
The night passes more or less uneventfully. You guys go through a round of rations, probably supplemented with some of what was on the cart. There's no reason not to use that. We're not tracking rations. I don't think it'll be important for this adventure. So you do that. Do you just set out in the morning, or do you decide to try and take a slower pace or load up your pack with what's from the cart or anything?
You're talking about the cart of the people that were murdered?
Yes.
What else is on there?
It is mostly food. I would say there's probably 1 or 2 deer hides.
Okay.
But not like particularly nice ones or anything. Just like, oh, these are something that the farmer got and took care of well enough. He was probably going to go take it to another town to get it tanned properly.
Okay. I'd probably pack those. The food, whatever we didn't already use up, I'd ask Palmer if there's anything he wants to take with him.
I think he'd probably grab a little bit, but you should be able to reach the town today if nothing else happens. So he's not too worried about it.
Okay, then that sounds like the plan then. We're not going to worry about getting every little thing.
Yeah, and you may be able to send some people out to retrieve it, and so that the town can still make use of, because it's a decent amount of food still.
But this is all food that's going to go to waste pretty quick, right?
What did I say it was? I think I said it was potatoes, right?
Oh yeah, that's right, you did.
Yeah, because those should keep, because you're in a forested area, so it's got shade, so it's not just... If it was in the sun, then I would say it probably would just rot, or could rot, with the shade and everything. I think it'll keep fairly well, just sitting there. You guys head onwards to the town of Murcott. Just as a refresher, the reason you are headed there is because a water mill that's fairly important for this region has stopped working, and you're hearing some odd rumors about it. What you expect to do there is mostly just keep things from escalating while someone actually qualified, like a blacksmith or woodworker, fixes the actual problem, is what you expect.
But I'm not responsible to find said worker. This is something that they're going to take care of, and while I guard whatever.
Right. That's more or less your expectation. You also probably expect that you'll be not exactly the highest law enforcement officer, but something close to that, because you have the most authority, in a sense. So that's more or less the role you expect. Do you have any plans for when you get into town? This is not necessarily quite a small village, but it's not large enough to have its own walls or anything. It just kind of relies on the forest as its natural barrier, that sort of thing.
I think because of the damage that's happened to my arm, my guy's first concern will be to try to get that recovered as fast as possible. Trying to remember, did we talk about if magic is a thing that's like, are there healers, or is that more of a rarer thing you would have to go somewhere special for?
I'd say it's a rare thing. It is a known quantity that sorcerers and healers exist, but that's more like you would need to be like a noble to have one in your court, or you would have to go on a quest way out of the way to get to talk to one.
Okay. So then keeping that in mind, I would definitely want to find the local basic healer to help recover me faster.
I would say under these circumstances, you probably want to talk to the watch captain then, is probably who your first thought is. Being the watch captain, he should know, like, oh, if one of my people gets gored by a boar or something. With that being said, I think you probably know enough, or actually, let's do our first rolls to see if you do know this. Let's do our luck and reasoning checks here. Your luck for the session and reasoning.
All right. So with a luck of fair, let's see if we can be more dramatic than the first game. Mediocre. So my luck stays at fair.
Better than last time.
Much better. Okay. What was the next one?
Reasoning.
All right. So my reasoning is poor. So I rolled a -1, so that puts me at terrible. Terrible reasoning.
Yeah, you're not really sure how long this is going to take to heal. So,
I think that would make sense. Like he wouldn't have a good guesstimation.
yeah,
He looks over at Palmer and says, "Have you seen wounds like this before?"
let's see. Let's give Palmer a flat check here.
Palmer's like, "You're gonna die."
It's all over for you. It's pretty good. You got a +1.
Okay.
So I think, I've seen a few. Yeah, I'd say you've got about a few nights before the pain subsides, and then a couple weeks before it starts to look better.
I feel like he would be the one that would tell him we should go find the watch captain when we get into town.
Yeah, he's like your evil vizier, except just a grizzled veteran, where he's just whispering into your ear like the Lord of the Rings guy, Worm Tongue.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. But he's good. At least I hope. Plot twist, he's not. No.
Fingers crossed.
Okay. So I think we're going to go ahead and make our way then to Murcott.
All right, you guys head in. There's no more trouble on the way. And as you approach, you see what's a pretty standard layout for towns in this region. So you've got a fairly simple, low slung stone wall around the non farm sections that are the closest to you coming out of the forest. You can see the river off to the west as you're coming in. You're coming in from basically parallel to the river.
Okay. So I'm on the west side of the town then?
The river is to the west of you, but the river is running north-south. So you're coming in from the south. I had to write down the directions to get it straight in my head. There are a couple of fairly simple wooden towers that you can see. There's one facing you, and then there's one further up. You would guess that's the other end of the town proper. It's just basic guard posts.
Okay.
As you approach, a heavy-set, balding man in leather armor, not unlike your own, approaches. He has a spear that he's using as a walking stick, much in the same way you are. Hold.
And I go, hell and well met.
That's all the fantasy we're getting out today. Says, just like to get your names and purposes for our logs.
Okay, so then I look at him and say, I'm Norman. I am a knight for the Order of the Keys, and this is my squire Palmer. We're here to do a job for the town.
Ah, so you're the ones the order sent. Very well. I'm Captain Barton Nash. I keep things running, as they say. And he does talk like that with pauses. He's very scattered.
Barton Nash.
Barton Nash.
So I look at Barton and I say to him, while we were on our way here, we ran across some thieves that were murdering a small group of people that were traveling. Was it away from here or towards here?
They were traveling away.
So they were traveling away from here and they were attacked. We took care of the bandits, did what we could, we buried them, but it looks like they were potato farmers. So I don't know if you would like to send anybody to go pick up what's left for the potatoes since it's still good food.
Okay, so he nods along to this. He says, yes, I'll see to it that it's taken care of. I don't suppose you happen to know what these people looked like. Your squire, Palmer, whispers the descriptions in your ear because he took all the notes.
Right.
You relay those, and the captain doesn't take notes himself, but he just sort of nods like he knows exactly who that is, and that's a shame. But at least these bandits are taken care of, yes?
Yes, they unfortunately damaged my arm, and me and my squire got a little beat up in the process, but we made it through.
So I think with that, he clocks the very bad bandaging job that you did on your squire. He says, well, you're in luck. The priest that comes around here on occasion is here at the moment, so you can ask about him at the tavern. He knows a thing or two about healing, better than our local does.
What's the name of the tavern? Or is there just one?
There's just one, but since you asked, it's the Lizard. And I gave it that name because of that stupid meme that keeps showing up in my feed. Lizard, lizard, lizard.
I saw somebody made a mechanical key that when you press it, it'll do the lizard.
I feel like I would actually press that a lot if I had it. All right, so he directs you and then goes off to presumably arrange a party to go out and gather all that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for letting us know where to go, and good luck to you guys with all that.
All right, so I assume you head straight for the tavern.
Yeah, I think so. We go straight to the Lizard Cat Tavern.
I'd say you're getting here sort of in the afternoon, I would guess. I don't think there's any patrons there yet, but there is who you assume is the tavern owner, an older woman that's behind the bar of the tavern, getting everything set up. Presumably there are going to be people drinking tonight, because there probably are most nights.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and approach this woman and introduce myself. Walk up to her and say, "Hi, my name's Norman. I'm here to do some work for your town. I was told to come to you looking for the priest that could help with some healing."
She nods. She doesn't seem terribly active, but she says, "Yeah, the priest, he should be in shortly. I think he was off giving some advice, but he'll always come back. Gets lost in his cups a bit.
And what's your name?
I'm a Uriah." And she's pretty lean. Not like she doesn't eat, but more like she's always on her feet, always moving pints of ale, that sort of thing. And she's got graying hair. "Will you be looking for a room then?"
Yes, actually, we will be.
All right. I'm just going to say make a charisma check, and we'll see what kind of price you get.
Okay, so my charisma is good. Okay, I got +1, so that puts me at great.
With that, you get pretty decent room, separate cots for both you and Palmer at a pretty reasonable price. We're not going to bother tracking money here. You've got a decent amount you are a night. I'll tell you if someone's asking for something crazy, and then we'll make a note of it. Then, if you do end up paying an exorbitant amount.
Right, okay.
So that means you can set your packs there if you trust this town to not break in and steal your things.
I look over at Palmer and I say, "What do you think? Do you think we can trust the locals here for us to leave our packs?"
Well, I think it'd be some kind of stupid to steal from a night, especially in a place like this. Nowhere to run, is there?
Oh, it doesn't look like it.
So he goes ahead and slings his pack off, and he leaves his spear because it's just generally not considered polite to walk around with like a full weapon like that. So instead, he just carries a knife.
I think my guy's pretty much going to do the same thing. He's go ahead and leave his spear behind, make sure he does have at least a knife, and I suppose we'll head out and see if we can find the priest.
So are you going to go looking for the priest, or are you just going to wait for him to come to the inn?
If we wait, he's more than likely going to be there, right? Because she said that he likes to drink.
Yeah.
I think my guy will want to just stay put then for a little bit and wait for the normal patrons to come in and see if we can find him. And pretty sure that the owner of the tavern is pretty okay with us. So I think she'll at least point him out. No problem.
Yeah. And you said you got a fair luck roll?
Yeah, because I had got a mediocre. So it was just that fair.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd say you sort of set up to rest for a bit. Do you drink anything? There's no real stigma against having some ale. Also, ale is significantly weaker than the ales we have now,
Okay.
generally.
Well, and back then too, it would have been a good way to make sure you had clean beverage and all that.
Yeah.
I think my guy would want to nurse a drink. I don't think he'd have any problem with that.
And do you have anything you tend to do to pass the time? Like, do you play dice, or do you just like to swap stories, or do you sit in quiet contemplation?
I think my guy is meant to be more of a social butterfly, so I think he would be totally down with swapping stories with other people.
All right, so right now that's you and Palmer, so you're probably weaseling another story of his experience as a veteran out of him. Or you're just telling one of your stories for the 10th time.
Well, see, the problem is I only have, like, for every one of my stories, he does have 10 other stories, so.
Yeah, I don't know if we said it outright, but he is like probably a decade older than you. So
As far as the geography of where we're at, how close are we to like a coast?
you're a pretty good distance away, I would say.
So I think I'd ask him if he's been there.
Let's see. Let's get a yes no from the dice. That is a flat 0. Very indecisive. So I think what happens is you ask, and he sort of goes, "Well, not the coast of this country, but just over west a ways." And I served on a ship for a couple of years. You guys sort of shoot the shit for, I'd say, probably an hour or so. And then people start filtering in, and Iria points out a portly middle-aged man who you would probably be able to realize he's a priest pretty easily. He wears the simple robes. He's got the shaved head.
So there's 3 bald people in this town so far.
So you can catch him before he gets into his cups.
Okay. I look over at Palmer and say, I think that's our boy right over there. Let's introduce ourselves.
So you walk over. He's just started ordering his wine. So what's your approach here?
Yeah, so is he talking with
Iria.
yeah. So I'm gonna walk up to them and kind of be like, "Oh, hey, Arya, is this the priest that you were telling me about?"
And before Iria can say anything, the man turns over and says, "That would be me. Yes. Randolph Ransley. Pleasure to make your acquaintance." He sort of just looks at you and goes, "And I think I know why you're looking for me. Yeah, that's nasty bit there. You have a room here that we can step into. Wouldn't want to put anyone else off the dinner."
And I look at him and I say, "Yeah, our great bartender here, our innkeeper here, made sure that we got a room all situated with."
Well, all right then. Why don't you take me up there and I'll take a look at that and see what I can do for you.
And my squire will need some assistance as well, as I'm not a healer.
Yeah, he was looking at your squire the whole time, but I'm going to say that was your character not clocking that.
Oh, okay.
Your bandage was pretty good. Your squire's bandage is very bad. All right, so I assume you take him up there. He's going to take a look at things. I don't think he needs to roll. This is something that he considers part of his duties. He is very good at it. It will consume some of your supplies, but nothing we need to write down, I think, in this instance, because this is just bandages, really. I think he'll have asked for some whiskey to take up there to use to clean the wounds, which is going to be unpleasant, but effective. So what I'm going to say is make a health roll to see if you recover any health. So this will be based off of your current health.
Okay, so right now I'm at mediocre. Ew, -1, so poor.
So I'm going to say you don't just immediately get to gain any health back, but this is a much better bandaging. You do feel like when you move your arm, it's less painful. It's definitely cleaner, so you're not worried about infection.
Right.
And he does help Palmer get a much more stable bandage. He says, now, what I'd recommend is come back to me in 3 or 4 days before I leave town, and I'll change those out for you.
Where are you going to be heading off to, Ramsey?
Oh, I do a circuit a few towns around here.
Okay.
Church is spread thin these days. But for tonight, my healer's recommendation is eat, drink, and be merry. And he wanders back off to the floor of the tavern to drink and probably say something that's vaguely like preaching, but a little too drunk to really qualify.
So I look over at Palmer. I say, well, that's the priest's orders, the doctor's orders, as they say.
Well, you can't argue with that, can you, sir? So Palmer will head down. I think he's going to spend a little extra and get some whiskey for himself. He's going to pour the whiskey into his ale. And something I picked up on one of those little islands out there.
I'll have to try it out sometime.
Let's see. I'd like to get a health and perception check for how the rest of the night goes for you.
Okay. So health, again, is that mediocre. Ooh, +2, fair. So puts me at good.
So you're holding your drink. Make a perception check.
Okay, perception. So we are starting off at fair, mediocre. So I stay at fair.
Okay. So you do just kind of notice as you're eating and drinking, it's not like a huge thing, but you do notice that some people are like, ever since the old miller died, his son is just running the town ragged with these prices. It's a crime. And nothing really distinct. It's just sort of things you're hearing on the corners. Nothing you follow up on tonight. And you go to bed satiated and rebandaged. That is where we will call it.
Hey everyone, we hope you enjoyed the second episode of Season 6 of the Die Again podcast. Norman and Palmer have made it to Murcott, and with the help of Randolph Ransley, the priest, they can get some much needed rest. They overhear whispers about the town's trouble under the new miller. We at the Die Again podcast love hearing your thoughts, so drop your comments wherever you're tuning in from. Also, don't forget to follow us on X, Threads, and Blue Skies. Just search for Die Again podcast, all one word. Bye.
The camera just went fucking crazy.
I think it's looking at your deer and it's like, that's something.
Could be.